Good evening. This is like the fourth attempt at making this video because my camera is being an arsehole. So as some of you might already know, this van is now up for let on a website. It's not the website I originally went for, but it's on there and that's all that matters. But I still got some bits to finish, so here I am in overtime fixing it. So the first thing I need to do is install this really cheap switch panel. Now this really cheap switch panel, the only thing that this needs to do is turn the lights on and off and then turn the water pump on and off. It's a bonus that's got some USB ports in it. It's got a cigarette lighter port in it, but that is getting yeeted off and it's going to be replaced with another USB port. So it's going to have 4 USB ports in it. I've already told you that the person renting it requires 240 power. I was going to use that EcoFlow, but that EcoFlow is gone. Get out of here. I'm going to be using something else and I'll let you know about that in a bit. So today's job is to hook up a leisure battery so that I can hook the lights up to that and to this and to that and to this and to that and to this. Now, what I haven't told you is, as you saw in my last video, I nearly died. I didn't nearly die, but I could have died because of the cold, because the petrol heater in this didn't work. So I've installed a diesel heater. The diesel heater lives inside this box here, which is accessible from the outside. The diesel heater works, I've had it all running, it's all fine and all dandy and all that. However, I need to hook that up to that leisure battery now via that fuse board so that it's permanently on and ready to go. What else? I've got this little fuse board here which is going to be hooked up where the lights are going to be hooked up to and the diesel is going to be up to. Very basic setup, but that's the idea because it's meant to be rugged. See this diesel heater thing here? Right, there's a reason why I've gone for the manual controller, because I've got to prepare for the worst, and the worst might be that it might be an idiot that lets it. The digital displays have far too many settings that can be messed with, and I don't want them to mess with it and then like the next person that comes to borrow it, the diesel heater comes on at 2 in the morning and all that kind of business. So on turns it on, off turns it off, that dial turns it up or down. So that it can't be any more basic than that. So that's all you need. On, off, up, down, on, off, up, down, that's it. Where am I going to put this switch panel? I think the only place I might be able to put it is on this panel here where the diesel heater tank is. So I'm going to pop it on there today, hopefully today, and get the lights working on a switch and all that business. Right, so the first stage of that is done. The battery's connected up. Obviously I'm going to tie these cables up and that. And some of you might say, well, did you not need to use thicker gauge cable for that? Well, no, because it's only going that distance. It's only for some LED lights and a diesel heater. So that cable is going to be absolutely fine for what I need it for. That fuse board, however, is massively overkill because I only need to really use 4 fuses. So, you know, anyway, I'm going to go do some more wiring. Right, couple of hours messing about on Landrover. Leisure battery and fuse board is in, switch panel is in, and the first switch is wired up to the lights. I was going to do the lights individually, but I kind of feel like there's no point in doing that. And then this USB socket is wired in, so is the cigarette lighter. I'm going to replace that cigarette lighter with a PD port and USB so that we've got 2 options. But that is it, I'm happy with that. I've just got to I'll be coming back on Sunday to do a couple more hours where I'll be putting the diesel heater onto that fuse board also. But as for now, I've got shit to do, so I'm packing up. That is it. Be back in a bit. Right, okay, so myself and Rick's gone to sleep because he's lazy. But me and Rick have been out at a South Central self-build Midlands meet-up thing. I can't remember what the exact title of it is, but it was alright. We went there for a bit. He went there for a weekend, I went there for just one night. I just got back, so now I'm back on the ambulance. I've been toying with the idea of going lithium because EcoTree Lithium were offering to help me out with lithium on this, but for now I don't want to go down the lithium route, so I'm going to put the old leisure battery in. I've just connected up a fuse to this red cable here. This then goes under the van and then up through there, and then into that little hole there. It goes up into the back of the ambulance. So what I'm going to do is, I had a spare split charge relay thing one of the basic, I know the crude and basic and that, but you can't get much more crude and basic than a Land Rover Defender. So I think it's quite fitting. It's not end of world, it's not, I think that, to be honest, with what this van's got in it, lithium would probably be massively overkill, given that there's no 240 in here and I don't really intend on putting it in. So we're going 12 volt anyway. I'm just going to wire that basic split charge relay. I've been assured that this one works. I think it's one of my old ones actually. I'm going to wire that in, the cable through now, and then that'll split charge the leisure battery, which again should be more than enough for what this van needs. I've just got to pull a cable through for the diesel heater to get that hooked up to the fuse board. So these are really the only two jobs. Actually, that's a lie. I've got to run a cable to the water pump for the sink. I may do that today, I may not. I might just check this steady, this little job. I'll just tinker about. Anyway, the van is listed for rent now, so I really need to crack on with it. I've had quite a few people message me about it, so if you want to get it booked in, I'm going to put a link in the description, and then it's ready to go. It's exciting. This might not work, it might not be a good business venture. I'm not expecting too much from it, but at the end of the day, what I have got here is an asset. I've got this Land Rover, which I love. It's always mine, so whether it rents or not, it's still always mine. If the renting thing only covers the cost of keeping the Land Rover, I've still always got it. And the value of this Land Rover will have already gone up with what I've done to it. And up to now, I'm not really risking losing anything, which is the main thing, which is the thing that I'm happy about the most. I will say that the whole idea behind renting this out was that I was going to go to Quirky Campers and do it, and I was in regular emails with Quirky Campers and things looked good, and then as soon as I showed them the interior, they just said no, we're not interested, it's not quirky enough. And I'm not going to lie, like, fuck them and that, like, I'm not too bothered. I've gone somewhere else now, but it's just disheartening that I nearly sold the van that night when I got that email. A really shitty worded email, basically just saying, yeah, the outside's really good, but the interior is just not good enough or whatever. So really knocked me for six, but luckily I had two other companies that were interested, and I've gone with them. But again, that wasn't really my intention. I thought Quirky Campers were the ideal company. That was the only company I was going to go with. It's just one of them things, it's just not what they're looking for, which is shit, because you can't really get much more quirky than a V8 Land Rover ambulance. Anyway, I'm going to carry on working on this, trying to fit this together, so let's go. That's the split charge relay wired in. Whether that's working or not, I don't know, but what I've just done is the cigarette lighter that was here, I've took it out and put in this little gauge here. So I'm going to leave you looking at this gauge. Hopefully you can see this gauge. I'm going to leave you looking at this gauge. Should we zoom in? Can we zoom in on that? And hopefully that's going to change when I start the Land Rover up. I apologise in advance for waking Rich, whatever his name is. Apologise in advance for waking Rick up, because I know he's asleep, but it's not my problem, I've got fucking work to do. Can't all have an afternoon nap, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, that didn't work, did it? That didn't work. So I just spent far too long trying to figure out why the split charge weren't working. And the first place I should have started was at that fuse there. That fuse there is blown. I even had to go sit down and having a word with myself because I was so pissed off. But now I just need to replace that fuse, it should work again. Right, but I promised you in another video that I was going to let you listen to this exhaust noise, and I never did. So, here we go. How about that? Replace that fuse, and now it's working. No, maybe I should think of a new profession, because I'm failing miserably at making this work. Well, failed miserably. This is reading 14 now, which will do for me. So we're now split charging, and I've also connected the diesel heater up. So we're going to get that working now. I'm going to show you that working. Again, I said to you earlier, the most basic controller on. That should be it. Turn it up. and then turn it off to turn it off. It's that simple. Can't get that wrong. The diesel heater is going to be coming on. In fact, I can already feel it coming off the leisure battery. That is good. I can now finally start to pack all this stuff away, retire some of these wires up, and then that's it. It was all going so well. I was on my way to the fuel station and it was stopped. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it might be fuel. Nothing is ever straightforward, is it? You know what I mean? So I've had to come out in the green Landrover now, which needed diesel itself, to fill up a jerry can full of petrol, to be able to drive, to be able to put in the petrol Landrover, to be able to drive the petrol Landrover to the petrol station, to put diesel in the flipping diesel tank for the diesel heater. By gum. Why can't things just be straightforward? Why do they have to be this hard? Don't think they should be this hard. I own 3 vehicles and every one of them needs fuel all at the same time. And then I just broke down and had to be towed back by a Freelander. This automatic gates, when you pull up to them, they open. I'll put it in gear before I drive through there, shall I? I'll take handbrake off before I drive through there, shall I? Stop trying to record and drive, Liam. There's my gatekeeper. Right then, moment of truth. What do we reckon the chances are, eh? What do we reckon? Slim to nil? Let's try. Now I'm not getting my ropes up just yet because it did this before. See? It's not a good sign, this, is it? Well, this is where I got to last time. Got past that, and that's it. I think we're sorted. Definitely a fuel issue. The fuel light is on now, but I'm sure it wasn't before. The woman at the petrol station will wonder what the fuck I'm doing here, because I've just gone and bought 38 quid worth of diesel and £8 worth of petrol, and now I'm about to spend 40 quid worth of petrol and about 8 quid worth of diesel. I'm gonna think I've lost my bloody mind. The amount of money I spend on fuel and vehicles in general is not even funny.
Do you want me to be on it?
Not really, no.
That's it. I'll be a cameraman if you want. I'll stand
So I don't need a camera on because I've got a tall desk here.
Fuck you then.
Right, listen. We interrupt this video because I've got a product advertisement to do here. You might be familiar with Max Speeding Rods. They're the diesel heater company. They've sent me something that's not a diesel heater. They've sent me something that's actually quite useful anyway, but I'm going to unbox it and show you. We're going to unbox it and show you because Rick's here is just...
I do.
We already know what it is because we've already unboxed it. A carry case or a cover. Well, it is a petrol generator. So you've seen a lot of solar generators being plugged around Tinterweb. Here's a petrol generator. Rick, come and help me. What we use a petrol generator for?
Making electricity.
making electric out of fuel, which is a really good way of making electric. I don't know, how can I sell a petrol generator? I've never used one before. Petrol generator and inverter all in one. It's got two 240 outlets, it's got a cigarette lighter. Who bloody uses cigarette lighters?
Have you read the instructions?
No. It's got the USB ports, it's got everything you need. This is all in one. We've not tried it out yet, but just because I've just run out of fuel, I've got some spare fuel in a jerry can. So what better time to do a product review than right now, eh? What better time? I can't think of a better time. Are we sure it is a petrol generator, not a diesel generator?
Well, it's too late now.
It's got a spark plug. It can only be one. Right, so what do we need a petrol generator for? We're going to use it to use our power tools. Hopefully this is going to work and not embarrass us. So we've proved it can power a chop saw, which is pretty good, but the main thing that I imagine this is going to get used for is for example on Rick's big truck, it's to charge all his batteries and stuff, so he could have that running. Really annoying, he can be one of them people that has a generator running all the time outside his van, but cool little thing to have in winter if he's low on power. So now we're going to plug that into his van and charge his batteries and show you that working. We're going to plug it in and hook it up, and then we can charge his batteries. There we go. It sounds loud close up, and obviously the microphone's going to pick it up, but from back here it's not loud, is it? It's loud when you're right close up to it. It's actually quite quiet compared to Rick. But anyway, that is... We can use that for off-grid tools that we don't... We can use it to charge all our batteries and stuff. We can use it to power the chop saw, which is new and very sexy. But then when you are... For Rick, for example, he can charge all his batteries with it. He can use that for his entire power source through winter. So, there's a link in the description to get one of those. They are really good. If you want to tell them that I sent you, that'd be ideal. Right, so my next job on my list is plumbing. So I'm plumbing a waste bottle, which is fine because I've got some waste bottle here, and I'm plumbing a fresh water bottle, which I've got here as well. Very basic setup. It's got one of these little whale pump things. I'm gonna drop that in, hook that up, and that's it. Hopefully get some running water in this, up in this ting right now. So I've just, Rick's just filling the water thing up for me. I've run the waste pipe through into there. I need to run the fresh water pipe. I need to make another hole for that. I've got this whale pump and the hose already put through the thing that it needs to be through. I'm going to tape these wires up to that. I might have to shorten some of this. I'm recording, by the way.
No swearing.
So when this sucks rather than blows. Right. So if you hold that right next to your face. You hold that towards your face. We'll just see if it's working. Nothing's going to come out, I promise.
Yeah. Well, nearly. Nearly got me in the most.
Hey, it's alright, isn't it? It's powerful, that, isn't it? Right. To be fair.
Nearly got me in the face.
Listen up. It's not the most amount of pressure, but it doesn't matter because it's running water in it.
Mine were the same in the transit.
Running water, waste and freshwater tanks in that cupboard, and then we've done this bit for now is done. Diesel meter works, split charge works, light switch works, voltmeter works, USB ports work. That's it. So that is all I needed to do today. In fact, I've done more today than I expected to do because Sundays are productive, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of that. Oh, actually, it's not end of that because we need to tidy up. And when I say we,
Mud monkeys hoovering.
Wood Monkey's offered to Hoover, and I'm not even going to be polite and say no, it's fine. I'm going to let him do it because he's done fuck all else all week.
Finished. I like hoovering.
You like hoovering? Who
Yeah.
likes hoovering?
Normal people.
Back to camper mode, everything's back together as it should be. I'm well happy. Well happy with it. We've got diesel in, we've got petrol in, finally. Got diesel in and we've got petrol in, we're ready to go. Links in the description to where to rent it out. Bye Felicia.